All right, welcome in, and welcome in. We are going to be doing the chapter on anger from the Dhammapada. And yes, we are maybe just a little bit late in getting started. I'm going to blame that once again on the exercise we're out at, so yay, good times. I didn't even bother to light candles yet. Okay, good deal.
Your job ends with doing your actual job. I said your job ends with doing your actual job.
Sometimes, yep. So we're actually going to use the smaller candles instead of the bigger ones because these ones will keep burning until probably 1730, 1745. I always like the bigger ones way before the service actually starts so that they're...
I pay attention sometimes, sir.
You do, yep. And that's always a good thing. Lily does talk quite a bit about being attentive, right? So, okay, let's get this thing started going. roundabout way by talking about anger, and specifically what the Buddha, particularly in the Dhammapada, said about anger. Because I think if we look at it from the Buddhist standpoint, these two things are fairly good opposites. So if the Buddha is saying don't do this in relation to anger, then he's kind of in a way saying do this for patience, do this because this is better than anger. This kind of allows us to not give in to that. Anger is a very energetic emotion, right? Patience is a very placid, for lack of a better word, kind of emotional content, right? Patience is very, very calm, very relaxed, whereas anger is very vigorous and very, very vibrant. And so if the Buddha is saying, don't do this for, in relation to anger, that gives us clues as to what he's saying, right? And we can use that to kind of foster our own patience internally and externally. So we're going to go through and read the whole chapter. It's a lot of verses, but we're going to do it anyway because it matters, right? So I'm going to speak very little at the end, and I'm going to let the Buddha kind of speak for himself on this one. So, starting with verse 221, overcome anger and pride and all that binds you. He who does not cling to his name and status, and who possesses nothing, will not be destroyed by his sorrow. He who curbs his anger is like a charioteer controlling an unruly horse. Others merely hold the reins. And you being in 2CR, right, a cav regiment, like you hold them horses in, right? You get where I'm going with that. Overcome anger with kindness, evil with goodness, meanness with generosity, and lying with truth. Let a man be truthful and calm, and give to those who are in want. By these three means he will perfect himself. The wise are free from hatred and are the controllers of their minds. They will approach nirvana and go beyond sorrow. Those who meditate and are watchful day and night will overcome their harmful thoughts and approach nirvana. This is an old saying. The man who is silent is blamed. He who talks too much is blamed. He who says little is blamed. Whatever he does, they blame him. People will always give praise or blame. They always have and always will. He who is praised by the wise and lives a good life, who would dare blame such a man, who is like a coin of the purest gold? Beware of anger in your body. Control your body and your anger will be overcome. Beware of anger in your speech. Control your speech and your anger will be overcome. Beware of anger in your mind. Guard your mind carefully and overcome your anger with gentleness. The wise man has control of body, tongue, and mind. He is the true master. And for those who were watching yesterday, I know you weren't, but for those who were watching yesterday, that was the whole crux of what we talked about with Rahula, right? So the Buddha, giving his instructions to his own son, said, you have to, as you're, in relation to an action that you want to do, or that you are doing, or that you have done, you have to reflect on that action and ask, did this cause harm to myself, to somebody else, or to both? Did it produce, painful results and painful consequences? And if it did, right? If you know that it will, you don't do it, right? If you are currently in the middle of doing it and you see that happening, you stop, right? And if you have already done it and you look back and you realize, hey, this thing actually caused a lot of harm, then you own up to it. You take accountability for your actions. Let those those who you deem to be wise know that this was a thing and that you've chosen to refrain from doing so in the future, right? The Buddha is saying something fairly similar here, especially towards the end, right? The wise men. So we're 231 through 234 are the big ones here. Beware of anger in your body. Control your body and your anger will be overcome. Right? So this is where we get to different kinds of patience, right? You can have, those who, when you have an angry response to something. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about the lights that, yeah. But when you have an angry response to something, right, your body tends to shake, right? You'll usually feel it like in one of a few various places in your body. Where your anger manifests, that's a place where you need to be watching, right? This is the Buddha saying, okay, you don't have to be angry. You can be patient with yourself and with others. All you have to do is be aware of it, right? For the physical anger, right? Or for the physical aspects of anger, for the physical manifestations of anger. All you have to do is be watchful, be aware, be mindful of where that usually happens. And when you notice your body engaging those neural circuits that would lead to anger, you stop. You stop and you kind of center yourself and find yourself in a place of calm, right? So you are directly counteracting that anger and building patience, building calm, kind of gentle, a more calm, gentle approach, right? So physically, that's how that works, right? So you have the physical aspect. Being aware of anger in your mind. So be aware of anger in your mind, guard your mind carefully, and overcome your anger with gentleness. This one is a lot harder to do. The physical aspects are super easy to notice, right? You will notice when your body starts tensing up in the anger, when certain parts of your body just suddenly heat up or start like shaking, right? You'll notice those things because those are really easy to see. When the anger is in your mind, it is so much harder. And the Buddha knows this, right? This is why he's saying what you do instead is you practice gentleness, right? So from time to time, we've had various Dharma talks about how we do this, and this is things like when you notice an angry thought coming up, you look inside and ask yourself, okay, why am I feeling this anger? Why is this anger coming? What purpose does this serve? And you give yourself a little bit of compassion as you do that, because if you have that compassion for yourself, knowing that you are angry and saying, well, everybody gets angry sometimes, but we're not going to allow that to take over, right? And that's, again, part of what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks that I really wish we'd been here for. I get it, mission comes, I got it, mission comes first, it's a thing. But when we have the capacity to take a look at that anger or that emotional response, and to kind of look inside ourselves and say, okay, look, this is not helpful, this is not skillful, this is not wholesome. Let's figure out where it's coming from so we can deal with whatever it is so that we can then move past it. So we're not stuck there, so that we're not letting usually we talk about this in terms of like the hooks, like the fish hook of craving, right? I know that I've talked about this, especially the Buddha is really clear about this in terms of status, right? Status and rank. He very specifically said that status, gains honor and praise and status. Those things are Mara's baited fish hook, right? Those who go after the fish hook, those who, kind of like want that, they will get stuck on that fish hook, and then there are Mara's to do with as he pleases, right? Mara being our devil figure, Mara's gonna do whatever he's gonna do, right? You're gone by then, it's kind of over. But those who don't get stuck on that, those who don't get stuck on the wanting for that, the craving for that, those who don't allow that to invade their minds, right? Those who specifically look at it and take that step back and are able to detach just a little bit and say, no, I'm not going to give in to that. I'm going to look at it, I'm going to process why it came up in my mind, and I'm not going to allow that to take over. I'm not going to allow that to have control over me. It's a choice that we make in doing so. And so as we go through our lives, we can make that choice. And the very same thing applies with anger. Anger is a very strong fish hook, right? And there are so many different directions I could go with this in the army, right? We have a whole cadence to, kind of stating our kind of, I hate to call it an addiction, but it's kind of an addiction to anger, right? So we are in a way addicted to anger. And as as much as that is the case, it is on us to go through and look at it and say, okay, that's a thing, but I'm not giving in, right? In the same way that we would look at it and say, okay, well, Blue Lotus is a thing, but I don't need that. The results are not good, right? Or, hey, cocaine is a thing, but I don't need that. I don't want that in my life. I'm not doing that, right? We make that choice. If we give in to that choice, right? If we give in and we get addicted to it, yeah, it's going to be really painful and it's going to suck a lot and it's going to be really hard to get past it. So it's better off to not let it take root from the beginning, right? To not give in to that. So when we notice that anger, and we are kind of addicted to anger, when we notice the angry thoughts coming up, it is on us to move past, to kind of like recognize that and say, no, that's an addiction I don't need in my life. That's, maybe some other people want that, that's fine, whatever, that's on them, right? But me, I'm going to choose not to. I'm going to choose the path of kindness. I'm going to choose the path of compassion. I'm going to choose to counter that notion in my, that's going through my head right now. And I'm not going to allow that to take root. I'm not going to allow that craving to kind of like control me. I'm going to choose not to let the craving in. All right? I'm going to recognize that, yes, that's a thing. That craving is a possibility. But I'm going to choose not to let that rule me. I'm going to choose not to give in to that addiction. All right? Which sometimes is a little harder than we might like. But it is a choice that we make. And that's what the Buddha is saying. Beware of that, because it will come in and it will, it will stick its hooks in you. And then those hooks are hard to get out. So it's we're better off being aware of it and saying, no, that's not for me. Maybe for somebody else, but not for me. Right? And the third one, actually I did those I did those out of order. Body, speech, mind. Body, speech, mind. Of course, we can do them backwards as well, right? Mind, speech, body, mind, speech, body. And that, I've shown you guys, I've shown you the powdered incense that we sometimes use, yes? Okay. That's why we do that, right? So we start off with the mind, then we go to the speech, and then we go to the body, right? Those are, we're kind of reminding ourselves that we want to protect these things. We want to make sure that these things are, that we keep these things pure, that we choose to take better actions with these things. Right? So, speech. Angry speech is unfortunately very easy these days. I don't even need to bring up the social media aspects of it, where anger and speech just kind of like, there are a lot of people out there where they are the same thing, right? Anger and speech just don't have any kind of separateness, and it's not supposed to be that way. Those two things are supposed to be separate. You are supposed to, you have the opportunity, and like when we talk about like, when we talk through the precepts, one of them is I vow to refrain from lying, or sometimes called false speech, where the Buddha listed whole categories, right? Hurtful speech, angry speech, all of these things. These are kinds of speech that the Buddha said, no, we don't give in to that. We choose not to do those. And that's, in a way, it's kind of super empowering, because it says, I have the capacity to build this patience, to build this compassion, to build this kindness within myself, and it's on me to do so, right? I own that. I'm accountable for that, which for some people, that might be a step they need a little bit more time to think about before getting there. But it is a thing that we can do, and we don't have to give in to the angry speech. We don't have to give in to to just being hateful in our words and being, bruising others with our words, right? We don't have to do that. We can choose not to, right? And so that's kind of the Buddha saying, okay, Anger, not really a great thing. In fact, it's pretty bad. How about we don't do that? I'm going to choose not to do that as best I can, right? And nobody's perfect. Nobody's expecting perfection here. We're not sitting there saying, okay, as of right now, you get to be perfect. You have no anger anywhere, anytime, right? That's not how the reality works. And the Buddha knew that. This is a training process, right? We go through, we train ourselves a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Keep doing it, keep doing it. Get more reps in, get more reps in, right? More repetition, practicing not being angry, practicing not speaking angrily, and practicing not having those angry thoughts. That leads us to a state where patience is just kind of the natural outcome. Patience, kindness and compassion, those are the natural outcomes of not giving in to anger. And those are very powerful. And we have the capacity to do that. We just have to make use of it. So, all right. I'm going to leave my random kind of like extended version. This is like the extended version of Lord of the Rings already. I apologize for that. We were expecting the regular Lord of the Rings, and you got the extended version, and so we'll go ahead and close out here, and then we'll move into the to Sangha time.
You would think they discovered like Buddha's like self-bibliography, if it made one, they call it a director's cut. You do that?
The Buddha director's cut. That would be awesome to watch, though. Like, don't get me wrong, that would be really awesome to watch.
How it made it.
That'd be a wild show.
I was curious, like historical figures to see like the philosophies of the NFB, or like how religions interact from how they intended to create it, or they implied that their own philosophies were. Like Buddhism is a great philosophy behind it. I'm curious to see how if they would see how it's become, whether they would prove it,
Alright, thanks for watching Dharma Roots. We'll see you guys next time.